Welcome, pilot. Last week I recorded a tutorial video going over the new salvage mechanics, and this week I refined that mechanic and playtested the community, and I want to report on some of the important changes that are now live in the game, and also talk a little bit about my plans after that. So the biggest change probably this week to the salvage mechanic is that now the more cargo mass your ship is carrying, the more it affects your ship's performance, just like you would expect. And if you're in a lighter ship like the Tiger Shark, then its performance is going to be affected more for the same amount of cargo, right? The same amount of mass. It's what you would expect. You expect a small, nimble ship or a small, sports car, for example, to be affected a lot more by its cargo than a heavier, beefier vehicle like a pickup truck, or in this case a fighter bomber. So that not only makes the physics more realistic, but it makes the fighter bomber better as a cargo hauler, which is the intended effect. That's why it has a larger cargo hold, and it can, while any ship can fight, any ship can carry cargo. Certain ships are better at the job, and that's the case with the fighter bomber. So that's definitely much more evident with this change than it was in the prior build. The other change, which was a lot of fun, is that there is a new gameplay mode, new mission type called Cargo Run. Cargo Run is similar to Capital Ship Assault in that in Capital Ship Assault, the only way to score points is to attack the capital ship. In Cargo Run, the only way to score points is through delivering salvage back to your capital ship or space station, right? Let me fabricate some munitions. We're using my MMU because I'm out of rockets there. So yeah, so in Cargo Run, you need to work with your fighters and your haulers as a team to kill the enemy fighters, then have the haulers process the wrecks into collectible scraps like this, pick it up, and then do a cargo run back to your capital ship or your portion of the space station to score points. The other way to score points in Cargo Run is to intercept enemy haulers once they have picked up the cargo and destroy them. As long as you destroy them before they manage to deliver their haul, then you will get credited for whatever cargo you destroyed. So it's a really fun mode. It really requires teamwork and requires the collaboration between the fighter pilots and the cargo haulers, and I think it's a nice taste of the hopefully harmonious gameplay between players that prefer combat versus players that prefer mining or salvage. Be able to work together, whether it's in a small mission like this or in the open world, right? So we did that this Sunday, and it played beautifully. Our very first cargo run was a 3v3, and the final score was 3 versus 3. So it was a very even fight right till the end, and I think everybody really enjoyed it. And it required new kinds of teamwork we've never had before in Hunternet, and it was actually pretty low scoring. It was harder than you think. There's a lot of skill involved in successfully completing a cargo run, especially when there's a enemy trying to prevent you from doing so. Another change, which you may have noticed, something I talked about being in the works last week, is I replaced the temporary use of the smoke effect for scrap with an actual scrap effect. So now if I shoot these wreckages, you see you have this nice little animated scrap effect. This makes picking up the scrap much easier, although I have no capacity right now. Let me manufacture some munitions. So that makes it, it's still very much skill based. You need to align your flight vector with the scrap and fly into it to pick it up. But now visually it's much easier to track. And there's also a collision warning right before you pick it up, which will let you know if you're on the right approach, right? Let's see, what else can I cover? The other thing, this is actually something that one of the players suggested. The repair tool now also works as a mining tool. It will corrode the wreckages and lets you collect scrap even without having to equip a weapon. So you can have a fully combat support oriented build that has no combat weapons and just focus on salvaging. and nothing else, right? You can support your team that way. Purely if you want another interesting build that Days Gambler, shout out to Days Gambler, did, is you could maybe replace the MMU that I have here with silent running and do a stealth build, right? So you could focus on stealthily avoiding combat, looking for wreckages that nobody has discovered, and harvesting those and taking them back to your capital ship without getting noticed. Some changes that I've already made but aren't live yet, this is development build, is that now even if enemy loadouts are off, if you're carrying cargo, the enemy will be able to see that you have cargo and how much cargo you have. So that's just to make mining a little bit more interesting. So once you do have, you can fly stealthily around, but once you do have some cargo in your hold, you know, the enemy can intercept you. And again, if the enemy destroys you while you're carrying that cargo, you will that cargo would be count as points towards the enemy. So it's very important that for me that salvaging and mining, just like combat, is a skill-based activity that follows sort of the same general design principles of Hunternet as a whole. It's exciting, it's dangerous, and you're never 100% sure that you're safe, right? But yeah, that was it for Salvage this week. I'm pretty happy the way it's turned out. There will be some minor tweaks in the next build, one of them being unloading your cargo is now all or nothing, with the amount of time needed to unload your cargo depending on what ship type you have, with the fighter bomber again having the fastest unload times. What that does is that it makes more sense to try to do one big cargo run, load up your cargo hold completely and deliver it, rather than doing multiple smaller ones. Before, because of the way the cargo took longer to unload when you had more of it, it wasn't as good of a choice, and I prefer it this way because I want people to want to take that higher risk, right? Take the higher risk of taking longer to collect the wreckage, the higher risk of being intercepted while carrying more in your cargo hold, rather than just going, you know, one at a time, especially in multiple light fighters, right? So again, this is to give you more reason to be a dedicated hauler, not that you have to be one. I felt this was a good change for us to try out. But yeah, but this will probably be the last set of salvage related changes for a while, unless we find some loopholes or bugs. And like I said last time, doesn't mean that this is the end of salvage as we know it. It just means I'll be moving on to other aspects of the game and then returning back to salvage in the future, probably when I start working on mining. So yeah, that's it. If you haven't tried salvage, I highly recommend you try it. I've been showing it off here on the Harvester Station location because it's a very easy location to spot out wreckages out in the distance. And now all the modes where it makes sense, you can actually play them purely as a salvager. So you see all my points here in Bounty Hunt have been scored through mining. So if you really love, or salvage, I should say, if you really love salvage, you love the fighter bomber, it's never been a better time to fly it as your dedicated ship. And I'm happy about that. Okay guys, well that's it for today's videos. I hope you enjoy it. Leave me your feedbacks in the comments, and I look forward to flying with you guys next time.